Back at the Electric Bicycle Center, hanging out with Sam. We're in Fullerton, California. And check this out. This is the Juiced Bikes. They've kind of changed their name. It used to be like Juiced Riders. Now they go by Juiced Bikes. This is the ODK 500. I reviewed this bike like almost 3 years ago. I saw it at Interbike, and that's when they were just introducing it. And I guess version 3 has been a solid enough platform that they've just been refining it over the years. So I thought this would be a great chance to kind of cover it again and look at some of the neat accessories that you've got. This one is completely outfitted. This one has a child seat kind of thing, or a passenger. We'll get to that. I want to come to the stock ODK 500. It's called the ODK 500 because it has a 500 watt internally geared 8-fun hub motor in the front. Okay, a lot of electric bikes tend to put the motors in the rear, or sometimes now in the middle of the bike. I personally feel that depending on the way the bike's set up, a lot of your weight as a rider does tend to go towards the back just because you're sitting there. Especially in this case, there's a large battery pack back there, so you're gonna get better traction. This front wheel is powerful. It could spin out a little bit. One of the advantages of having these smaller wheels that you see here is it's a mechanical advantage, right? The motor doesn't have to leverage this really wide wheel. But that means, okay, it's torquey, but it can be kind of zippy. It can spin out a little bit. These are 12 gauge spokes in the front, 13 in the rear. Both of those are oversized. That's a normal bike kind of has 14 gauge spokes. The lower the number, the thicker, the tougher. I mean, Sam has a ton of stuff to say, so I don't want to take too much more time here, but this is hydraulic disc brakes, Tektro Dorado, 180 millimeter front and rear on these, so you get good stopping power, and that's great because it's a heavier bike. We were weighing this earlier. It was like 65 pounds.
Yeah, 67 pounds, I
67 pounds. Integrated rear light, tons of rack mounting options, a Velo Comfort saddle. And we could go on and on. Easy to approach this thing. It's just step over, really low standover height. And I do have all the specs on this, like the length and some of the other dimensions, reach and stuff, back at the website, because there's so many just different points to call out about it. Maybe I'll pass it to you, Sam. 52 tooth chain ring, extra big. Take it away. I mean, you love this bike too. So
we started selling this one, it was the V1, and the big improvement was, number one, you were right. With a 500 watt 48 volt setup, the original ones would spin the front tires. And Toros spent a lot of time on the controller to get that thing dialed in and mellowed out, so as you roll on that throttle, it's a progressive, nice linear power delivery.
It did feel a bit better to me. It was a little
much
smoother.
Better.
Okay.
The original one was actually a 23 amp hour battery.
Okay,
so now they offer it in both a 15 amp hour battery.
Yep.
And they've lowered the price considerably.
4815, we're still talking about 600-700 watt hours.
Yeah, 30 mile range is what you're probably going to expect from it. The original 23 amp hour battery, you've got about a 50 mile range.
Wow.
And now they offer it with an outrageous, I think it's an industry leading 32 amp hour battery.
Awesome.
And I've got customers reporting 80 to 100 miles per charge.
And that is with twist throttle only. So this is a class 2 electric bike. There's no pedal assist. There are no sensors or anything. If you're pedaling, it's all you. And you have that internally geared 3-speed hub. So a minute ago, I was talking about the trade-offs of front-mounted hubs and stuff, and I really didn't make my point. It was that, well, they use an internally geared hub in the rear with 3 speeds that you can shift from standstill.
That's right. So on this bike, I could just be sitting here in third gear and then I forgot to downshift and just pop it down to first
and then
pedal off from a stop.
That is
Absolutely.
Cool.
Also, it has a cruise control button on it.
Oh, I noticed this.
So when you get it up to speed, you hit the green button here, this light will light up, release the throttle, and if you're going down like the Santa Ana River Trail or somewhere, you're just completely in a relaxed state. You know, of course, your hands are on the handlebars, but you're not having to grip a throttle and twist it for long periods of time.
Wrist fatigue.
The other thing I want to point out is low step over height and low center of gravity. With a 20-inch wheel and a 400-pound weight capacity, you can really load this thing up with a lot of weight, and that low center of gravity with the 20-inch wheels keeps that weight low, so it doesn't feel like that. You don't feel it when you're riding
That's a really good point. It's we were talking about keeping the motor weight and stuff low. The battery is mounted a little bit higher, but that's another factor of like having some of the motor weight up front is it does balance out the battery, and it's kept lower because of those smaller wheels that you're talking about. We got plastic fenders front and rear, so that's another utilitarian approach. This is a chain guide slash, see how it has 2 plates? They're both metal, so it's tough in case, being a lower bike, you impact a curb or something. It's going to protect the teeth, and it keeps this from falling off. There's only 1 sprocket in the front and the rear.
You've also got tons of aftermarket accessories that he offers with this bike. All kinds of trunks that you can use on it. Child seats will fit back here. Your controller has integrated lighting, a 1,000 lumen headlight. You can put in a cycle analyst.
We gotta, I mean, let's look at that. We're talking about it. We've got it right here. That's the really cool thing about having the demo bikes. There's this 1,000 lumen light he's talking about that's just wired in. It's a mess of wires here, in my opinion, because while this is a purpose-built bike, it's a little bit, I mean, Tora's an engineer. He's the founder of this company, and that's part of the reason they keep building on this platform, refining it, because he's put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah, and you know, customers that end up buying this bike love it. And I have customers that have gone around and rode 20 different bikes, and they come in, and this is kind of a funky looking bike when you first look at it.
It's true, yeah.
But when you actually get on it and ride it, the funkiness falls away, and you just feel like you're riding like a standard comfort bike, or in essence a beach cruiser in some instances, depending on...
Well, the handlebars, let's talk about that. It's just a 6-inch rise. It sweeps back a little bit, but that helps you to have this upright body position. So I was on this one earlier. I raised the saddle a little bit, comfort saddle, brought it up, and then the handlebars, they're pretty straight up. There's not a huge reach gap here. When you ride it, you are pretty upright.
Yeah, the V1s had more of a pullback bar, and you had mechanical V brakes on the back, and I think a disc on the front, but it was mechanical. Now you've got hydraulic brakes front and back on the bikes.
I noticed that these are e-bike specific brakes, Tektro Dorado. They even have like a motor inhibitor, but it's odd because this doesn't have pedal assist. So it's like they don't really need a motor inhibitor for that.
You want the motor inhibitors when you have a throttle, actually. That's when you want to, like if you grab that throttle, you hit the brake, it kills the throttle.
I guess that's a good point. Earlier we were in the shop and I was in front of this bike and I was trying to kind of lift it and guide it, and I accidentally leaned and slipped on the throttle, and it ran into me kind of. Yep. If I was riding the bike and you had this other brake lever pulled, that would inhibit the motor. I always think about it with pedal assist because sometimes my feet are moving and I'm like, whoa. And I guess in both cases it's useful, but I thought it was redundant. It's nice to hear you make that point, Sam.
Yeah, no, any bike that has a throttle on, I think is supposed to have brake inhibitors on them, actually. And it's the ones with the pedal assist, it's some that don't have brake inhibitors.
Well, when it's like a torque sensor, or like the Bosch system doesn't have it.
Yes, exactly right. That was my point as well. Let's come over and look at the baskets that are on these bikes.
Sweet.
You've got mounts to put these purpose-built baskets made by Ivan Man Stewart down in San Diego. And this company is based out of Chula Vista, right here in SoCal.
Juiced Bikes.
Juiced Bikes, that's correct. So they both have a front and a rear basket. And then there's your mount for your water bottle.
Bottle cage, I love that, right? Yep. You wouldn't want to kick it. This one's just plastic, and there's still a lot of room here, but it's reachable.
Another really nice upgrade on this bike is he's got this massive center stand that comes down, and it splays really wide. So when you're on this bike, you could load 100 pounds of weight on the bike and not worry about it falling over with this aftermarket center stand that's on.
Important. And the base display panel, we were back here talking about how it's all operated. Here's the battery pack. There's this button right here, so you press that, and then that's on. And then you have just a very simple, like 4 LED kind of a charge indicator, and then that cruise button. This is really simple. This is like an LED console and twist throttle. That's how we're doing. If you want to step up to the next level, you get something like this. This is the cycle analyst. All kinds of information about like the current you're pulling, about the voltage of the battery, and then you can start to get to know your bike a little bit better. Because it's a little bit modular with the different size batteries, that could come in really handy. And he's even got like a USB hub, so you could charge all your gear. That's cool.
So stock battery charger is going to look like this.
Oh, metal.
And the aftermarket charger you can buy from them is programmable. And this one you can actually set it to only recharge at 80%. There's a lot of it's like
so you don't stress it. This is the Grin one.
Yeah, this is about a $300 charger.
Wow.
Offered by Juice Rider, and they offer a lot of accessories, like I said. One other thing.
The stock one was 2.5 amps, by the way. So, decent. It's going to take a while to charge that huge battery.
So the stock tires that come on the Juice Rider are about 4 times the thickness of a normal bicycle tire.
Oh yeah.
And they run heavy duty tubes as well. But just recently they've upgraded to a full-on moped style tire that you can put on there. Now this adds a lot of weight to the bike, and with that extra weight on the wheels, it's like a big flywheel, so it might not accelerate as quickly. But once you get it up to speed, it maintains that speed. It's like that big flywheel effect that continues.
Momentum.
Yeah, so momentum that keeps you going down the road.
This says a 20 by 2.25. Like if we're looking back at the stock one, it's 20 by 2.125. And they are thick. One of the things that I'm always talking about is comfort. So being a little more upright, your head's up, you're visible.
This is definitely one of the more comfort bikes. And I mean, what category we put it in? We call it a cargo bike. Do we call it a utilitarian bike? I mean, this, for some people, could replace their automobile, their vehicle, if you're just getting around town with it, you know? It has that capability.
Well, I was gonna go the opposite direction and say that I don't think it's super comfortable because these tires are too inflated for me. They're 20 inches, they fall into cracks, it's more jarring, but you have the comfort saddle, and I would opt for an upgraded suspension seat post, right? Yep. And I think this was at 31.6 millimeters, so fairly standard diameter on that seat tube. You can get the, you know, the thud buster, the body flow.
That's correct.
Because, and yes, it can be comfortable. The body position is comfortable, but I mean, it's an aluminum frame. It's a little more rigid. Having the weight there, kind of, you roll with it a little more, I feel. There's some momentum. You're a bigger guy. Maybe this is set up for you. I've had like a mixed experience moments ago. I was pedaling with these. I love the big Welgo pedals. Lots of surface area, very stiff. You know, and again, they've got the Pro Wheel cranks. Lots of good upgrades on this. Just be careful with those pedals because you can do what I did and slip and cut the crap out of your shin if you're not careful.
And well, that's what you get, Court, for trying to bunny hop a curb with a front wheel drive.
With a heavy front. Yeah, I came up this. I was like, let's see how hard it is to bunny out. You know, And so I hit that, and then with the smaller wheels, like I jittered myself off, and my foot went down, and that scraped my shins. And you know, that's a bit of a cut there.
You're not on a high bike right now.
Huh? Right. These bikes are all different. I try to test them. I'm putting them through their paces. Yeah, let's get there. But other things I saw on this one. So it did have a little suspension seat post. It does have the bar and mirror. You said that these bottle cages here aren't for water. They're for like a stereo?
He had speakers in here, yeah.
Speakers. Is this like Tora's own bike, or what's going on here?
No, this is custom built for a customer. He wanted everything and all the options available. He's got about $4,500 into this build. Jeez. And the battery alone, so one other thing is a lot of people that have the 23 amp hour battery, perhaps their battery's worn out, and now they can go to the manufacturer or one of the dealers and say, hey, instead of buying that 23 amp hour battery, I just want the 15 amp hour battery, or I can up to the 32 amp hour battery, but the retail cost on this 32 amp hour battery is $1,795.
Jeez, just for the battery.
That's probably one of the most expensive batteries that I know of in the electric bike industry. But what other manufacturer makes a 32 amp hour 48 volt battery pack? That's massive. That's
one of the biggest costs on any electric bike, as we've been talking about in the past. It's like the battery. But what's the stock price again on just the stock?
Well, the whole bike goes for $1,995.
That's like just a little bit more than just the battery.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right.
That's amazing.
Right. And you can sometimes use your old battery and get a core charge on that and get a little bit of a discount from Tora down to Juice Riders there.
Oh, so they recycle it or something?
Yeah, they recycle and reuse stuff. So they'll work with you on the price.
Okay. Definitely. So now tell me about this one. This is awesome looking.
So this is a standard 23 amp hour, 500 watt, 48 volt, but him and my wife put this little kit on the back here, and the kit would enable you to carry maybe a passenger.
Someone like me, I could be a passenger. Are we going to try this? Are we going to the two of us?
If you want, I'll have to go get my helmet on.
We don't max it out, do we? Like our combined
weight capacity, so I think we're okay.
You're 260. I'm like 135.
Yeah.
We got this. We're at core capacity.
I actually have ridden my wife on this bike. My niece came out last summer and she needed to borrow my vehicle.
I remember that.
To go to Laguna College. So for like 2 months, I had no motor vehicle. And me and my wife actually rode this 2 up. She'd ride side saddle, actually.
Wow, look at that.
And we'd go home on it.
Side saddle, oh my gosh. Look at these little foot pads and stuff. So this is like bolt-on? It's like an
this
extra.
Is all a kit that bolts on. It's purpose-built.
Pro Max. So this is specific to the Juice bikes?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, because it's really nice. It matches, beautiful. Yeah, go grab your helmet, man. And I'll talk about more of the stuff on this bike. There are the big mounting points on the head tube that we were talking about before. A really long head tube right here. It's not tapered or anything, but it did feel pretty solid. Just come back here and show you the controller, a little bit of a close-up. The batteries are awesome. They're huge and stuff, but they aren't removable. Okay, like if you charge this thing, you're gonna have to leave that on the bike. So that's one of the, trade-offs. It doesn't seem like it's, gonna be very prone to theft, but it's just, you have to leave that on the bike because it's bolted on there. You could put panniers on this. I like that they have these little standard gauge tubing along the side with a little clip, kind of a triangle here that you can put that in and ratchet it down. There's even another hanger right here for extra stuff. I mean, there's just tons of. You were telling me some stories about Tora. He has his own videos from the Juiced Bike site where he's in Asia, like working with the people riding around.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos you can get on his website. He actually has a video of him going down a full-on dirt road, one hand on the handlebar, really rough and just bombing down this road. Over in Asia, riding 2-up, going between factories. Guys inside the factory doing stoppies on this bike with a rear end in the air.
Like for real, like that's a real brake test.
He's passionate about it, and I love the small guys that are passionate about it, and I like to support those guys, especially local guys that are within about an 80-mile radius of my front door. Pretty much anybody that makes an electric bike within 80 miles of my front door is in my shop.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun to come visit. Again, thank you so much, Sam. Are we gonna do this?
Let's do it.
You're gonna ride? I'm already cut up, so I mean, can't get any worse.
Tell me when you're on.
I'm on.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we don't want to go off the curb. That'd be killer.
No, we're just gonna cruise around here.
Oh boy. You can hear the motor up there a little bit.
Here we go. Pretty good torque. I'm not even pedaling here. So it's pulling 400 pounds of weight right up to speed.
Yeah, 400 pounds. What's our speed right now?
But I'd say we're going about 12 miles an hour, and by the end of this straightaway, we'll probably be up to about 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's one of the other things about the stock display panel. There's no speedo. You could always add like an aftermarket little computer, but you'll notice, yeah, Sam's not riding, so this is a little bit more like a scooter. Oh, now he's pedaling. There you go, buddy.
I'll show you what it feels like to pedal. Now, when you shift your weight around back there, I definitely feel that. You know?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing a good job balance-wise.
It pulls me to the left and to the right. But I mean, we're putting this to its pace with a big fast. Now up high gear.
Woohoo! Yeah, you can hear that motor zinging a little bit, but it's not too noisy. Sweet, man. Here's the got my little bar back here. It's pretty comfortable. Actually, I can feel now that there's weight on it, the tires got a little bit more give. And I'm gonna hop off here and just show what you look like. Looking pretty good. Well, awesome, Sam. Another fun video here with you. I appreciate it. For the full write-up on this, that's gonna be touched up. I'm gonna go back and update it, but it's kind of the original thing. I'll have some pictures from that. I have another video review for the same bike, just not as in-depth with all these features and kind of the extra, you know, information, extra perspective that you bring to it.
Sure.
See you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, with those helmets, ride safe.
Yeah.